Hey guys, welcome back. We've just set up our next flight. As you can see, we are going to be departing Palmerston North. We've got about 8 tons of freight on board and with our Ansett New Zealand 200QC, and we're going to be departing Palmerston North, tracking the Wellington and Christchurch VOR. We might add in either Timaru NDB just for a bit of a challenge, or we'll add in the Dunedin VOR, and then we'll carry on down to Invercargill. The wind is from the north, so we'll be landing on their 04 runway, this one here. So we'll be doing I'll have a look at what we decide, but we might just do the VOR approach where you sort of head straight for it, then you sort of head outbound and then do a teardrop back into the airport. So probably do that maneuver for a bit of a change. And yeah, I'll add in the Palmerston North VOR just because I keep on forgetting to add that in when I do my VOR route finder, so I'll do that. Add that to our flight plan, which is before the Wellington VOR. Well, while that's loading, we'll reload our flight plan. Start our refueling, and then we'll leave the passenger bit later on. So basically we'll be flying out of, we'll take off from runway 07 because the wind sort of slightly changed. Depart out this way, track this Palmerston North VOR down to Wellington, then on to Christchurch, and then we might just leave it as it is, just direct straight to Invercargill. So we'll set both the Palmerston North, which is already set, and we want to be tracking out on 188. And then we'll be setting it, get this Wellington one preset, which is, if it loads, almost there, 12.3. Perfect. Right. Because it's basically a turnaround flight, we are basically thereabouts set up. We will just set our altitude, which we can always look at this too, which I keep on forgetting about. Cruise altitude is 26,000 feet for today. And when I did my last flight, I forgot to set my cabin altitude pressure, but we'll set that to 26. And we will close up the doors. I think we're pretty much ready for departure. We'll start boarding the freight. And we need to turn on the pumps to turn that, so we need to turn on this AC pump to auto. Then we can lower the cargo door and raise the stairs, close these cargo bays up. Very slow hydraulics, isn't it? Steady as she goes. Right, that's done. We can turn off that AC pump. Have a look at, so we're going to take off from runway 07, so that's basically, like I said before, my previous flight. Because '67. So basically, because I can see this, but real world pilots cannot see this little number thing. We're just going to dial this to basically dial the heading to the runway heading, which is 07, which is there. Thereabouts, that's all you need to do, and we want to change this to heading, set our altitude, and then we're going to set our indicated airspeed. So like I said, we're going to depart, we're going to climb out around about 210, and then when we get above 10,000 feet we'll speed her up to 250. But what we will do is we'll set our, turn this on, set this to take off, and we're going to use flaps 24 again because this is a shorter runway as well. We're quite heavy, so that's all set for our departure, our takeoff speed, our takeoff thrust, and our TMS, so we can turn that off. And basically we are set this to on. We forgot to turn it off on our previous flight. Brake temperature's gone down, which is good. We are now ready to take off, so we're ready to start her up. Make sure that's set. Make sure the fasten seatbelt signs are off. Turn the ice detection warning on. Engine ice all on. Continuous ignition is on this time. Turn on all of our fuel pumps. Make sure this is switched off. Beacon light comes on. And then we can start the fun part. Turn the start master on. And that is turning on each and every one of these engines. Start with engine 1. Love how it just goes dim like that. And yeah, just start this process of turning on our 4 engines. And then, like I mentioned earlier, as soon as these lights go out, they'll sort of go out once that the ignition is well underway. We can basically get going onto engine 3. Above 10% we can introduce fuel. Forgot to turn these off too. I think you should turn these off before you start the engine. Engine 2 next. Wait till it gets above 10. Fuel on. And now we can almost start our last engine number 1 once these lights go off. Done. Can basically get rid of our chocks before I forget to do it. Once this engine starts spooling up, we can basically start our after start checklist. Set this to off, master switch off, generators all come online. We can turn on engine pump 2 and 3 and the AC pump into auto, PTU on, turn on APU air, turn on both packs, can turn on all of these heaters and whatnot, and we can turn off the continuous ignition. We don't need that unless it was heavy rain, which it's not. And we can turn off our engine anti-ice. We are basically all set for our departure to Invercargill. So I might change this to something more interesting than that. Actually, we'll get back to that soon. Right, we'll get ready for our departure, eh? We'll turn on the runway exit lights, we'll turn on our taxi lights, we'll set our flaps to 24. Well, we need to go back into that page to set our trim. We can now release the warnings light thing. Can release the light. Once that flaps is down to 24, we turn on the power onto our TMS. We're set for that. Flaps 24. And we can now set the trims. Make sure that doesn't beep at us, which it's not. We can turn off the entry lights, and we can basically start taxiing out to our runway. So we're going to basically taxi out on the runway. As I said before, there are taxiways around this airport, but we don't want to use those ones. They're just strictly for small Cessna/Piper type aircraft. Everything is looking pretty good. There's nothing I've forgotten to do. No, everything's all set. See, that's the taxiway you don't want to use unless you're in a Cessna. It's night time, so there's going to be no aircraft using the grass runway, but it pays to check just in case. And yeah, we're basically going to start our taxi out onto the runway, which will turn on our strobe lights. Strobe lights are on. The thing when you fly the BAE146, because there's so many like switches, we can turn this on to because there's so many switches and dials and whatnot, you always spend a lot of time just going over, seeing, making sure that you haven't switched on anything. I mean, like I say, this is for entertainment purposes only, but it's still nice to know that you've gone through the correct procedures and whatnot. That's the other taxiway you don't want to go down. There's one more. It's not a taxiway, so don't be fooled. I'll show you this other little one. It will be coming up on our left very soon. But it's like a little holding bay because, like I said, a lot of this airport's very busy with the flying school, and they've got this little taxiway here. It doesn't go anywhere, so like I say, don't be fooled to go down this one either. But it's like a little holding short like engine run up taxi way kind of thing. It's, yeah, I think when these flying school aircraft land on this runway, if there's like another one following close on behind, they'll exit into this little turning bay here thing and get off the runway to allow the other planes to land, and or also they use it for like engine run-ups. Not that one, it must be the next one. But yeah, don't be fooled to go down any of these taxiways that are not marked. Here it is coming up now. So if you find yourself coming into Palmerston North on a night like this, and you're a bit, you know, don't go down there by accident. Goes absolutely nowhere. The only thing that's missing on the BAE is they have like a taxi light for the nose gear. You can't quite see with those wing mounted taxi lights, but that's not to worry. We'll be using our high beam landing lights now. So much better. We start the process again. We'll set this to 500.
TMS sets takeoff.
Hold it for a bit, then power on all the way up to... what's happening now? What have we forgotten? Flap set to 24, that's what I got to set for. Maybe that was the issue. Anyway. What is going on? We'll try that. It might have been because the autopilot was engaged, I have no idea, but we'll try that again.
Power set, flex achieved.
Much better.
knots. TMS sets takeoff. Power set, flex achieved. Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots cross-checked. V1, rotate. V2. Positive rate of climb, gear up.
Oh well, we're on our way. It wasn't the best takeoff. I think there's a few bugs there. But no, we're on our way now. We can now start our heading to track this VOR. We can turn on these engineer, turn off the APU. We can turn off these two pumps here. And basically we can look towards turning. We can turn off the APU now. Don't need that. And we are basically all set for our flight to Invercargill. This is going to be a longer of our flight, so I might leave halfway through and do some bits and pieces. Can turn off our landing light, our runway exit light. Now that we're above 10,000 feet, we can engage the synchronize button, autopilot button, and nose down and start speeding her up to 250. Basically thereabouts 250 indicated airspeed, so we can now re-engage the autopilot and yep, that is it really. I'll set this to 250. Can set our QNH to standard. And then we select sync for our cruise out. For our climb out, I should say. And we can now engage the VOR tracker. Can't see much at night, but you can see the beautiful city down there off Palmerston North. Not the most exciting city in the world, but it's definitely a nice wee place nonetheless. So basically, as I was saying earlier, Ansett New Zealand is a very interesting airline. Of course, it was started up by Ansett Australia. They wanted to try and tap into our New Zealand market from how I understand, and they brought into this airline that initially started flights called Newman's Air, which operated a Dash 7, which was the 4-engined predecessor to the Dash 8. Ansett Australia brought into that company, and then they brought them, ordered a new Dash 8 100 for them, and then around the same time too, they basically took full ownership of Newman's Air, and that's where Ansett came from. Ansett New Zealand was Ansett Newman's, then they renamed to Ansett New Zealand. and then they pretty much grew quite rapidly from there. They operated up to 14 BAE 146s. They had a couple 200s. They had this one, and then they had the larger 300, which we used in the previous YouTube video. And then they had a fleet of about 4 or 5 -8 100s. I think they made a huge loss for the best part of their. They were pretty much. How long did they last for? Basically 14 years of service Ansett New Zealand lasted. I think they were making quite, not significant losses, but they were making losses for most of that duration. And then at the mid-90s, they started making small profits. And then, of course, Air New Zealand brought a 50% share in their parent company, Ansett Australia, and due to like the competition laws and whatnot, I think Ansett Australia had to basically relinquish control and ownership of Ansett New Zealand. So Ansett New Zealand was basically, from 96 onwards, they were basically a standalone airline operated by some group. And then towards the end, I don't know what actually happened, whether when Air New Zealand brought out the last 50% stake in Ansett Australia, I wasn't too sure if Ansett New Zealand had to relinquish their titles or what actually happened. I'm not too sure. I think I read somewhere that they were going to carry on as Ansett New Zealand and be their own airline, but as they were for the last 5 or so years. But 2001, I think 2001, I think they were having a few more big losses. And then Qantas Australia decided to buy them outright and turn them into Qantas New Zealand through another company. I think it was Tasman Pacific Airlines or something like that. They started a company and basically brought out Ansett New Zealand. 2001 was when Ansett New Zealand, in June, July, Ansett New Zealand became no longer, and it became Qantas New Zealand, which, like I mentioned, was a very turbulent part of our airline aviation history. Qantas New Zealand basically couldn't survive. They basically went bankrupt, and within a space of like 12 months, but they came back as Qantas in their own right. They started up, which you guys might know of, Jet Connect, which was like the Qantas base in New Zealand. So they basically went. Ansett New Zealand basically was brought out by Ansett New Zealand was basically brought out by Qantas, became Qantas New Zealand briefly in 2001. 2002, Qantas New Zealand basically, which was under this business called Tasman Pacific Airlines, I think it was, and then they basically went bankrupt, and Qantas New Zealand was no longer, and these Q300s briefly became part of Air New Zealand's fleet as they were trying to source new aircraft because of the many stranded passengers as a result of the airline collapse of Qantas New Zealand / Ansett New Zealand, and the rest was history. All of these airports that had different airlines all became Air New Zealand. Air New Zealand became this massive airline in it. Yeah, but that was that. Jet Connect carried on for quite a few years. They did domestic flights within New Zealand, and then they were using 737-400s and 300s, but then they stopped doing that, and that's when around that time, that's when Jetstar entered the New Zealand market. Then you had Jetstar and Virgin Blue at the time. They all operated domestically, and then I think over the course of a few years, 2014-15, I think, JetBlue became Virgin Blue became Virgin Australia, and the New Zealand subsidiary. They were brought into the back into the Australian fleet, and then they stopped doing the domestic flights with the New Zealand. And then it was just became really Air New Zealand and Jetstar. But yeah, the Ansett New Zealand, it was a lovely wee airline. I really enjoyed seeing them fly into Rotorua with their BAE146s. Lots of good memories with Ansett New Zealand. It's just a shame that they are no longer, but I guess that's the thing in the aviation world and the aviation industry. It's quite there are not many margins there, isn't there? The airlines come and go, and yeah. So we can now basically change to our Wellington VOR. And like I say, I like to use this one to preset have it set to the next airport's, the next VOR station. Now we'll try and figure out how to do this. This autopilot, this auto thrust technique. Just let us speed up until our desired speed, and then we'll try and find that sweet spot. And then basically just let the TMS basically looks after all of these engines. It's a very basic autopilot, auto thrust system. Quite primitive, but it does work. And yeah, it's just about trying to find that sweet spot, really. It's might take it all the way back. It is a bit of fine tuning and whatnot. Might need to focus on our next waypoint, which is coming up soon. Flying over Wellington at the moment. Looks a lot better during the daytime, but that's what it looks like at night time. Yeah, there is a bit of fine tuning involved with this. It's just about getting that sweet spot. But around there at this altitude, I think that's basically thereabouts where we need to set it to sort of keep that thrust thereabouts. I mean, it's not autopilot, but you can almost get it to that point where it is basically autopilot in a sense. But that speed seems to be holding thereabouts. I think it is slowly dropping, but might just take it up to 79 just for benefit of the doubt. But yeah, that's thereabouts how you use this TMC, whatever it's called, auto thrust management system. So you want to basically click on TGT. You want to try and set it, and use this to sort of try and find the right. Try and match it up with the needle there, and then you set these numbers first. Then you set the TGT, and then you click on sync, and then you select number 2 and master 2. So it's going off the second engine here. But yeah, I might set it up just a little bit more. It is. We want it just to be slowly speeding up, then slowly speeding down. Yeah, I think we've got it set now. It's slow. Maybe need to set it down just a fraction more. So I think when we arrive into Invercargill, we're going to use runway 04. So we will use. We won't use these arcs because it requires us to come too far out. But we will. Yeah, we'll use this one here, NV1, for our arrival into Invercargill. Yeah, I sort of figure that. So there's nothing really exciting doing this arc anyway, and I think it's requires sort of too much flying out here to try and track it in, so we'll just do this fly into Invercargill, fly outbound on 245, and then when we get yeah, we'll fly out, and then just before we get to 10 nautical miles outside of the airport, we'll start pulling it around and tracking in for 36. Want to be roughly at 2,000 feet. Sorted. So this is basically looking after itself now. In the daytime, we'll see the beautiful Kaikoura Ranges to our right of the aircraft as we're flying down the coast. I might do a few bits and pieces, and I will come back for the landing. Oh, welcome back. Well, for myself, welcome back. I've just been out and about, doing a few bits and pieces. Also monitoring this flight too, because there is still a lot that needs to be sort of looked after. But you might have seen me sort of adjusting this, trying to get that sweet spot. 685 seems to be the magic spot where it's sort of just holding enough. So I mean, it's a very basic concept, this TMS thing, but it's still capable too. I might just speed this up a bit. I mean, it's not an exciting flight by any means, but it is a nice challenge because you're flying at night time. You definitely are needing to use the instruments for your navigation. I'll speed this up a little bit, but yeah, we'll hopefully start coming into our approach soon. I mean, this is a very long stretch without a VOR, so I'm guessing in real life they would have had basic. I mean, they would have had ATC guidance kind of thing, just making sure they're staying on path. We don't really have anything like that at the moment. We're not using ATC or anything like that. I just find it a bit too... It works, but it doesn't work, so I've always just gone without it. But I do use FS HUD quite a bit as well, but when I'm doing this sort of VOR flying, they don't really seem to fill that niche, you could say. But yeah, hopefully, like, I don't want to use this too much because it is slightly cheating, but hopefully that VOR comes alive soonish. But we can set, because Invercargill is basically sea level at the airport, so we can basically get this set ready for our descent. Because we'll be starting our descent. Well, actually, we shouldn't do that just yet. But yeah, this TMS thing seems to be doing alright. Instead of, you know, having to control 4 thrust levers, you just... All we have to do is just get it thereabouts and just toggle this up and down when needed. But yeah, at the moment we seem to be... Oh, now we are alive. We've got our VOR alive now, which is brilliant. We can now start tracking that. And we'll get this preset. We're going to be getting straight down to 2,000 feet. So we'll get this thing set ready for that. And I guess in another couple of nautical miles we might as well start our descent. We're not exactly high as such, but you know what, we'll start our descent, so we'll arm our altitude, we'll use vertical speed mode, and we'll use our magic sync button, and we'll get us down to about there. I might just raise the nose a bit more, re-engage the autopilot, and then select this to descent, throttle it back a bit. Now we can set our cabin pressure. And there we are, we just start our descent. I think when we start our descent initially we turn on the PTU first. But I do know that they do, I have read online that I think in the real world most operators do turn on the APU and turn on this just so it's out of the way, but we'll sort of go off the video that I followed, the great Just Flight tutorial that they did for this when this first came out. So try and follow that as much as we can. But of course when things do get a bit hectic, we will look to making things easier for ourselves, because as we all know, we're just a one-man team here. There would be someone else that would be fiddling around with various different things. It would be cool if Just Flight did what PMG did with their BC6 and what Flight Studios did with their 727, having we call it the Ghost, or the, what's the other word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean, like the Ghost First Officer that flicks and clicks all these different switches in behind the scenes. I might increase my descent rate a bit more. Like I said before, I push my magic button, the afterburner toggle, which is the autopilot sync button, which makes you override the autopilot without disconnecting it. But I believe Just Flight have now has altered it so you can actually use this to adjust the pitch up and down. If you don't know how to use that. So I think I'll give it a go, eh? Right, we can push the magic B number, the altimeter set button, because I usually do that in New Zealand below 13,000 feet. I think we're sort of tracking quite nicely with our descent rate. I might just throttle the back a bit more, use a bit of speed brake to get it under that 250 knots. Might as well turn on our fasten seatbelt, our landing lights and our runway. Might as well turn on the turn on our APU and turn on our AC pump. Well, put it on into auto, just so it's all ready. Then we set our landing speed, so we're going to click this little toggle button here, which sets all of your little light indicator needles to the correct speeds. So when we cross the VOR, we want to be heading outbound on 245, and they did used to have like a distance where you'd start your turn, but this has obviously been updated, so like go outbound for 2 minutes, but what we'll do is we'll go outbound until just before we hit the 10 DME arc, and then we'll just come around in track 36. So what we can do is we'll keep it like that just for now.
$2,500.
Get this set up 36. And we'll start our configuration, so probably we can start lowering the flaps soon and lower the landing gear as well, get that set up for our final approach. Yeah, we've got to do a full flaps landing.
Speed checked below 205, select flaps 18. Speed check below 205, select gear down.
Sort of thereabouts, bang on really. Doing pretty good, which I'm quite happy with. We're on our, basically on
Speed checked below 180.
our final
Select
approach. We can
flaps
turn
24.
on our APU and turn off our engineer bleeds.
Speed checked below 170. Select flaps 30. Autopilot disconnected. Speed check below 145. Select flap 33.
Plus 100. Minimums. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Ground idle. Yellow and green spoilers. $80 knots. 60 knots.
And we'll turn off this little chimey button thing just so it doesn't make all of that loud racket when we start turning off different things. And that's us landed at Invercargill, which went really well actually. I'm really happy with that one. A lot better than the last flight into Palmerston North. Really happy, that was really good. And here we are at Invercargill Airport. We'll have to do a flight during the daytime with the the Airbus and the ATR. I'll show you guys what this area looks like during the daytime. But yeah, made it into Invercargill, so we'll load up with all of those yummy bluff oysters. I might have the And that is us, folks, for this leg. I'm going to power this down, open up all the doors, and then we'll end this segment, and then we'll carry on with our flight up to Tauranga. So I hope you guys enjoyed the flight, and a little bit of running commentary along the way. And yeah, thanks heaps for being a part of that flight if you guys are still with me. Just going through and turning off all of these various switches and whatnot. And that is us for this segment. Usually I do like an outside shot, but I mean we can do an outside shot before I end this segment, but I dare say there's nothing much to see out here, isn't there? It's pretty well done, that. Really love this. Really love Just Flights aircraft. Definitely going to look at purchasing the Fokker Friendship F28 and definitely the 100 when it comes out. But yeah, that is basically us for that segment. And we will see you on the next leg, so stay tuned. Our next flight will be from here, from basically the bottom of the South Island in Invercargill. Almost, well, I mean, not at the top of the North Island, but it's definitely going to be a nice long leg in that one. But yeah, thank you so much for being a part of that one, and we'll see you again shortly.